it seems that the strengthened spark acts to erode the defenses, release the distortions, and clarify the bafflement. I'm going to leave it at that in terms of reading from the statement of principles. I want to talk a little bit about that, in part because something that I sort of gloss through every week is that we speak about an experience of our humanity, an experience of reinforcing other people's spark of humanity, other people's internal glow. They're in the light, the humanity inside of them. It's pretty critical to mention this, to underline this. This is an experience. It's not a belief. It's something that we believe that you can experience simply by turning your attention to it. It's not distant. It's not like someday you'll reach this place. It doesn't require adherence to any particular religion. It doesn't require adherence to any religion. It requires that we look in ourselves and look in others for the humanity that resides there. Talking about visualization in a bit, but that
recording in
looked
progress.
Like it was dying. I thought it was dead, in fact, when I first saw it. And I was talking to my brother and I said to him, I think this bird is dead. Let me check it out. And then I said, oh, wait, it's alive. I think its wing is broken. Wait, it just looks like it's exhausted. I don't know, sick or something. And his recommendation, because his daughter often rehabilitates wildlife, he said, yeah, she's told me that she's found hummingbirds and she just feeds them sugar water and it kind of snaps them out of it. So I scooped it up and I carried it back to my place and I put it in the planter out front so that my cat wouldn't see it. And I brought out some hummingbird food, which is just sugar and water, in a little bottle cap, and I set it down in front of it. And a few minutes later, I went out to check on it again, and it was, in fact, quite alert, and it got up and it flew. Sean, I see that you lost Wi-Fi. Do you need to start over, or are we okay? I'm speaking to Orca Media's control room. Anyway, I'll see what he comes back with. But anyway, so yeah, again, by keeping my eyes open for a moment to maybe give the gift of lightening other people's loads or something, what I found was the gift of being, I don't feel like, oh, I saved a bird's life today. It's like, that would be the egotistical way to look at it. Instead, it was just this moment of feeling really, really touched, very much touched by this interaction. And yeah, it was a gift that I received by looking for the humanity in others. In this case, I don't know. I can't even come up with a silly term. I referred to my cat one time, the felinicity of her. I don't know, but this, this bird was a gift to me. I feel this opportunity to help it to stay alive and to kind of snap out of the place it was in. So that was another lovely thing. Rather than just go on with these lists of little interactions, I want to bring the discussion back to, if I'm going to find other humanity, and if I'm going to find my own humanity, there are going to be obstacles that prevent me from doing that. I mentioned a minute ago that there would be a kind of egotistical way of responding to that interaction with this bird yesterday. I could be sitting here, I saved a bird's life, and that would definitely obscure, darken, occlude my own humanity. My humanity was strengthened because I had this wonderful moment, this gift of being able to interact with. I touched a hummingbird yesterday. I brought it this sugar water and I put a drop on my finger so that it could tell that's what I was putting in front of it. I put a drop in my finger and held it out and touched the tip of its beak. And when that drop fell, it licked out and realized what it was, and then it started drinking. And I thought, I just touched a hummingbird's beak. Like, when is that going to happen again? So yes, but there are ways that we can obscure and occlude, and egotistical thinking is one of those. Fear is another. Distortions, seeing things and deciding to interpret them a way that feeds our negativity rather than our positivity. My father, I keep finding myself coming back to my parents in these discussions. My father had a thing that he said to me one time that is going to lead into my homework for next time. My dad was not a person that went around saying, "Oh, I love you, I love my kids." He wasn't real vocal. He was the men of his generation, having been through World War II and before that, the Depression. They tended not to be they sort of saw stoicism as an expression of love, I think, of protecting their children and their families. And I was watching TV with my dad. I'm going to say it was probably a Pirates game, Pittsburgh Pirates game. I don't know what it was, but a commercial came on. My dad was laying on the couch and he spun around and looked at me and he said, "Do you know what the 3 most important words in the English language are?" And I thought, old man, if you tell me, I'm 17 years old, and if this is the first time you're going to tell me, "I love you," 3 most important words, I'm just going to throw up. I was not up for it. My cynical adolescent mind was not ready for that. And he said, and I thought, oh God, he's going to do it. Don't know. I don't know. Those are the 3 most important words in the English language. He then gave a discussion of about 5 minutes or more, where he talked about how the house that we lived in, I knew that he had built it. And as anyone does when they're young, you think, oh, this is just, my dad built our house. That's just how it is. Probably other people's parents built their homes. But he talked about how he bought the land and he knew nothing about building. And he said, so I went and talked to a friend of mine who had a backhoe that he could, dig the foundation. And I said, I don't know how to go about this. And the friend said, not only will I help you, I'll teach you how to run a backhoe. And so they dug the hole. And then another friend, he said to him, I don't know how to begin laying. It was a cement block foundation. I don't know how to do that. And his friend taught him how to do it. Didn't come and lay the block himself, but taught him what to do. And then he did it and he learned it. And he went through, of course, every step of building a house. Like, I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know how to put up the framing. I didn't know how to put on the shingles on the roof. I didn't know any of it. And as he discussed it, as he described it, he built the house in my own imagination. He went through the steps of rebuilding the house, and everything that he had gone through, he elucidated for me. And I walked away from that understanding that I don't know are some pretty powerful words. Knowing when to say, I don't know how to do this, I am vulnerable. And instead of putting on airs and pretending I know how, allowing myself to express my vulnerability and my ignorance, that this will open doors for me. This will allow me to learn the things that I need to learn in order to get through this particular circumstance or to get through life in general. How to deal with a cat that will not let me do my meeting without coming into focus for a few minutes. So yes, I don't know has become a very, very important phrase in my life. And I've discovered over the course of many years that it's when I pretend to know something, that's when I get myself in trouble. It's the declaration of I'm confident about something, I know how to do it, and in fact discovering that no, I don't, and discovering it halfway through, discovering it when someone is looking at me expecting me to know, because that's kind of how I've peddled myself into the situation. Now, what does that got to do with Sparks and with humanity? It has to do with the kind of barriers that we put up. the I know this attitude prevents us from being, I am vulnerable and I am open. It prevents us from learning on a practical level, but it also obscures, it does all those distortions and those obscuring of our own humanity. I often speak about vulnerability being the core of my experience of humanity, my own humanity, because it's really hard to be vulnerable and to express vulnerability. It's very difficult to open ourselves to others because we live our lives behind walls, and those walls protect us. Not saying I don't know, in some situations with some people, sometimes at work, sometimes in situation with friends, refusing to say I don't know can become a means of protection. I don't know can become a way of opening ourselves up. We fear opening ourselves up to criticism. Let's try that for the next couple of weeks. Let's try not just saying, I don't always have to know everything, but going a little further with it and saying, there will be opportunities to say those 3 words to someone. They will come into my life in the next period of time here. And I will have those opportunities, and I will take advantage of them, because it will open me up to my own humanity and to seeing others' humanity, when I can look at them and say, I don't know your situation. I don't know what you have lived through. I don't know how to express something that I feel is important to talk about, or just something that has come up. I don't know how to admit that I am ignorant of it, and open the conversation that way, rather than stating my opinion as it is fact because I feel it, because I believe it to be true. So yeah, that's a little vague for me right now. That's kind of why I feel like it might be really good homework, because even though I know there have been many times in my life that saying I don't know has gotten me through a challenging situation, by allowing myself to be and to express my vulnerability. Anyway, I don't know what's going to come up. I don't. And on that rather uncomfortable note, I'm going to leave you now. It's been fun. It's been challenging. We've dealt with a cat interrupting. We've dealt with a cat almost knocked the camera over, in case you haven't seen the camera moving as I put it back into place. And we also had some Wi-Fi issues and other issues. But I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Spark of Humanity, Living Spark. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye now. Well, guys, that was an interesting challenge. And